Hey, this is Mark. I'm here with Gary Streiner. He worked on Night of the Living Dead with his brother and amongst other great artists. Tell us, how did you get involved with Night of the Living Dead?
My brother was Russ Streiner, one of the producers. So nepotism,
You gotta love it.
square away, you know. But yeah, no, I was kind of part of a group that put together the Latent Image, which the Latent Image was the company that made the film. We obviously formed a corporation, Image 10, just to handle the business affairs of that one movie. But yeah, that was it. I mean, I was part of the pack, before the movie happened. I worked there for probably a year and a half.
Did you run a lot of the audio on the movie?
Yes, I was the sound engineer.
I've seen some of the photos.
Yeah, yeah. There are a few out there, but yeah, it was and somebody said today, so you recorded it, but you weren't the boom man. And I said, no, we didn't have a boom man. Which obviously having a boom man is very convenient when you have actors walking around the room, but we didn't have a boom man. So it was on a fixed pole, and we kind of trained the actors to say their important lines if they're walking around the room. Okay, make sure say your line right here because that's where the mic is. And literally, that's how the.
Was that one of the greatest challenges you had working on that film?
No, probably crickets were my. Because we shot a lot of stuff at night, and it was in the summer, so there were crickets outside, and you couldn't possibly get away from them, and we would have had to have, put a bubble over the house in order to, kick it out. So then there were also stuff that we shot during the day, and so we had to add crickets to those, in order to balance it out with the scene it was matching to. So that was an interesting effort.
So what are some of your fondest memories working on the film?
The camaraderie, just the can-do attitude. There wasn't ever any question of whether or not we would finish this film or no. That was our mission. We started out to do it, and under extreme financial conditions, meaning low, not high, we had to make a lot of compromises and had to be very innovative in a lot of things. And I guess this is the proof of whether or not it worked.
Did you ever think while you were making that movie that this was become to this?
No. I didn't even, first of all, I didn't even have a concept of this. I had never been to a convention, You really didn't have conventions back then. In 1967, 68, there. I don't even know who it might have been, some of the big ones, there might have been, but no, I that all came with the package.
There's a funny anecdote. Did you get people ever asking you to say they're coming to get you, Barbara, confusing you with your brother?
No, but I have been confused about my brother. I mean, one of the first conventions that I ever went to, there was I think it was an uncle and a nephew. Young man came to the table and wanted my autograph, and I signed the autograph. And only after I signed Gary Streiner did they realize that I wasn't the guy that said they're coming to get you, Barbara. I can do it in the accent. I'd probably do it better than Russ, but I'm not going to get into that territory.
But don't sell yourself short. You worked on an incredible movie, and that's what you have to live with.
Yeah, well, that's the legacy. It's no, it's not only an honor, but I don't know. It's just good for the soul. It's just like I was 20 years old when we shot Night of the Living Dead. What did I know about life or anything else? It was just like show up on time and you'll be fine. That's kind of the only rules that were in the book at that time. So, no, I feel I'm very privileged. I say it 50 times over the weekend. I lived the American dream. I grew up a middle-class kid, and rural Pennsylvania. Well, it wasn't actually real rural, but yeah, and all of a sudden, because of circumstance, I happened to be that person in that position. You know, that's the American dream, right?
Well, thanks a lot for talking to us, Gary. It was a pleasure. And this is Mark at the Living Dead Weekend.